everybody, hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be doing a bit of a vlog. I have my very first farmer's market this weekend, and I'm going to be trying to sell some of my soap that I've been making and also some houseplants. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing to prepare for that, and then also what I still have to do and everything I've got to get together. I'll just start with the soaps kind of quickly. So I have not been sticking to any one type of mold at all. So I'll probably need to rein that in a little bit because I've got like 4-ounce bars, 4.5 ounce, 3.5 ounce, and then these are like 0.35 ounces. So these are really just decorative and like sample soaps. All over the place with that. I don't think that's really a big deal, but it is kind of making how I'm pricing everything a little bit more complicated. Because I think it's a little bit easier for somebody to walk up and just see like 1 or 2 different prices instead of having like 3 or 4 because of all of the different sizes of the soaps. So need to make that a little bit better, but other than that, I feel like everything's going pretty good. I've got these 4.5 ounce bars, and I'm going to try to charge like $8 for them. So, I mean, it's definitely worth it. People do it all the time and charge even more, actually, considering like all of the ingredients that are in here. So I've got rosemary, bentonite clay, pink Himalayan salt, oat milk, tallow, olive oil, coconut oil, and then sodium hydroxide. So that is like every single one of the ingredients. I don't technically have to list all of the ingredients because I'm making natural soaps. Once you get to the point of adding pigments and like synthetic fragrances, then you have to go by FDA rules, and it just makes labeling and all of that a little bit more complicated. But I'm not saying I won't go there one day, but we're keeping it as simple as I am capable of keeping it. But anyway, so I've got most of those packaged up. And then as far as like holiday or Halloween soaps go this time, I'm just going to be doing the Clarity and Clay and Moon Magic in the skulls. The next go round here in about like a week or two, I'll have more Halloween soaps ready. So I'll actually just pop on over to that. So the first week of October, I'll have all of these bars ready. These came out pretty nice. I made the little decorations to go on top beforehand, and then I made the soap and placed them on. So that was a fun experience. These were super bright orange, but they faded to more of a brown color with the turmeric coloring over time, which, by the way, these are turmeric and dandelion. So for this week, all I have left to package is the Moon Magic bars, and then also the rest of the skulls. So this is the Clarity and Clay and the Moon Magic, which I guess eventually I'll have to go over like all of the different types of soaps that I've been working on with you guys, but that'll take a good few minutes because they're all different. I'm going to grab my labels really quick and all of my other materials, and I'll show you how I do the labeling for the soaps real quick. Okay, so I've got my labels, which I designed on Adobe, by the way, some business cards so that we can use them as a little back for the little skull soaps. And then these are shrink wrap bags, so I'll need my straightener and a hair dryer to make that work. You'll use the straightener to seal it and then the hair dryer to make it shrink. Okay, so let's just jump straight into it. If you have like a larger business or a larger scale, or you're doing well, this is probably not the most cost-effective way to spend your time, is to hand cut out all of your labels. Probably at least invest in one of those straight cutting machines. I probably will eventually, but this is what I have on hand, and I don't have to buy any extra materials. So these labels are actually like shipping labels that you can just print and stick onto the box. So I printed everything on those, and I'm just cutting them out, trying to make sure that the edges are as even as possible. And then I also have my little ingredient labels with where it's manufactured at. Okay, I've got a little skull soap. We're just going to place it on our card here and position it like this. And then I'm going to grab one of my shrink wrap bags. So I've got a lot of excess plastic on here, so I'm going to cut it until it's about 1 or 2 inches away from the card here. It's easiest if you let the bag overhang a table and just kind of clamp the edges really quickly, but I'll try and show you this way so I don't have to move my camera. Here we go. You don't want to hold it on there too long because it'll just completely melt it. I've got the bag sealed and I just kind of moved the skull to where it's more centered how I wanted it. And now I'm going to grab the hair dryer. So for this one specifically, I'm actually going to shrink the back only and then come back and shrink the top. If I try and shrink wrap this whole entire thing, it comes out looking kind of funky. You'll see here in a second, but in order to get it to where it's see-through and you can tell it's a skull, that's the way I've got to do it. So let me show you. First of all, for the heat of the hairdryer, I found it doesn't really matter that much whether you use a low or a high. Just make sure that you've got it on a hot setting. So it looks like that's about as good as this one is going to get with the shrinking. If I do it any more, then it looks like the card is going to start busting through. So that's really the main thing that I've got to be careful for with these. Okay, so now that we've got that done, I'm just going to add the labels on here. Right, so I've got my label with how many ounces my skull is. So these are a little bit tough. You've got to kind of mess with the edge a little bit until you can get it to peel back. Is all of this very time consuming? Yes. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is just position this on the top part. It's a little bit wrinkly right up there, but that is okay with me. Honestly, this is the best that I could figure out how to package these and make it look okay. So I am going to try and sell these for either $1 or $2. I'm not sure yet. But honestly, for it to make all of the packaging to be worth the time and everything, I probably need to be selling these for $2. But I mean, some of you may ask why I'm even like plastic packaging these in the first place. Well, one, with the clear plastic, people can see the item and also pick it up and touch it without actually touching the item itself. So with all of the pandemics and things that have been going around here lately, I'm just trying to keep everything, I don't know, wipeable, user-friendly, and kind of clean. All right, ta-da, we've got it done. We've got our front label, we've got our back label. Now I've got probably like 20 more of those to do, and then I still need to do the moon magic bars. So I won't drag you guys along for all of those, but this is the gist of what I'm doing. And now we're just going to kind of jump over to the plants actually, and I'll show you the stuff that I have to do with that. So recently I went through and potted up a ton of my cuttings. So I'm not going to be taking all of these plants, but this is kind of what my stock is from. But most I'm going to be taking these. I'm actually still kind of debating on the pricing of whether I should charge like $4 or $5 for each of these. I was thinking if I did $4 that I could do 3 for $10, but I also don't necessarily want to short myself on some of these things. I mean, some of the plants are more common, so it's like, yeah, it's a market thing and I can haggle with people, but also I am pretty bad about basically just trying to give stuff away, so I should not do that. The price is still to be determined on these, but I do have some pretty cool and harder to find varieties, at least local. So I've got like the Manhula pothos. Wait, I just got to show you guys this leaf. I'm actually pretty obsessed with it. So pretty. And then I've got like a ton of the Scindapsus exotica, Cebu blue, the Begonia maculata. So several like decent varieties like that I'll be taking in these little like 3-inch cups. So all of these were potted up in like my compost houseplant mix, and I have rooting hormone on there, and everything is pretty well rooted already before I put it into the cup, and everything has been in the cups for some of them weeks now, and then others like a week or two. So that's honestly fine. I think it's still going to be a bargain, even though they're not necessarily all settled into their cups fully. But the bad thing about growing in compost is you get random seedlings. So that's those plants, and then I have all of these plants that I have sitting in this bin. I think for the most part I'm going to charge like 15 for, or try to, but I could go down to 10 on a lot of these. But yeah, I have like this monstera. I've got 2 vines in here. I really just don't want to look at this thing anymore, so I hope somebody will take it. And then I've got some umbrella trees that look really nice, and more Scindapsus exotica. And then I've got, like a pretty nice philodendron Brazil over there that I'd like to get rid of. I have a ton of those too. Same with these exotica plants. And then I have one of the neon pothos that has sport variegation on it, and some Adansonii, and then also a philodendron Florida Beauty that has 2 stems in it. And then the last little section of plants that I'm going to be taking is the philodendron Pink Princess. So I have a bunch of top cuts and also mid cuts of these. So this is another one. I think I'm going to try and get like 15 a piece from these. They're a lot more common now, but if you were to go to like Lowe's, you're still going to spend $25 on pretty much this exact plant with low variegation. But all of these have stable variegation. They look pretty nice. They're looking really healthy lately, lots of new growth. And then I have like these middle cuts. So these are another one, like I could probably go down to 10, but I think I'm still going to ask for 15 because it has like a ton of new growth points. It kind of aggravates me sometimes that top cuts are a lot of the time worth more than the mid cuts because you're still getting a beautiful plant, and this one is just going to grow differently. So you've got a growth point coming from there and a growth point coming from there. So now you have 2 vines, and versus like a top cut where you just have the 1 vine. I mean, it looks a little bit neater, but still. To me, a plant is a plant. But yeah, anyway, I'm not too set on prices. I'm just kind of starting somewhere because I don't really know what to ask or what people are going to be willing to pay in my area. And then as for labeling the plants, I did just take some masking tape and write on them with a garden marker to make sure that none of the ink was going to get messed up. So aside from getting everything labeled, I have to get 2 tables that I'm going to have to pack into my car. So I've got them on standby and they're all ready to go. And then I also need to take a tablecloth, which I'm actually going to be using an old curtain to cover my table. It's pretty cute. I'll insert like a little picture. Right now I have it being washed. And then, so I also need to have like calculators, spare change. I'm just going to be doing like cash only on this one, I think. I don't have all of this stuff set up to be doing like card purchases. So that's something that we'll have to wait. If I'm any kind of successful at this, I'll look into it. So some other things that I'm working on are an inventory list so that I know what I'm going up there with, how many I have of everything, so I can keep track of what I'm selling and if anything gets stolen. And then here we have one of the pricing cards. So this is just a note card with the number written on it, and I'll have everything laid out and these laid out appropriately so that you'll clearly be able to tell. So I think that the main thing here is hopeful that it's not too windy, so I might have to tape them to the table. Alright, you guys, well, wish me luck. Hopefully I don't get rained out because it is in fact calling for thunderstorms, wouldn't you know it? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you all have a great day. And if you would like to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Bye!